thank you for being with us. We begin at 5 o'clock with what hopefully will be the last day of a historic and very difficult era.
Today is the final day for most of Oregon's COVID restrictions that will be lifted tomorrow. Pat Doris looks ahead to that long anticipated moment and back at 15 months of fighting the virus.
One of the immediate changes you're going to see is at the grocery store. Starting tomorrow, Safeway, Fred Meyer, Albertsons, New Seasons all say that vaccinated customers will not have to wear masks, and neither will employees. Unvaccinated employees will still have to, and they'd like unvaccinated customers to, but nobody's going to be checking. That is the beginning of a big change. The scenes you see Tuesday on the streets of many Oregon cities will look very differently Wednesday. As Tuesday becomes Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. to be exact, most of the restrictive policies meant to slow the COVID-19 pandemic will disappear.
I wasn't aware of that.
It's true. Masks will no longer be mandatory inside businesses for customers. Restaurants will be able to allow as many people inside as the fire marshal permits. There are no more COVID capacity limits. Also gone, limits on the number of people who can attend sporting events and entertainment gatherings and weddings and funerals and everything else. And there will no longer be county risk levels. The governor's newest executive order does away with all that. Tonya Whiteside says she's excited for the change, but that it will be strange at first.
I think it's going to be because at first there's going to be a little bit of anxiety because we've been doing it for almost a year and I don't know how many months.
Kira Hulsey agrees.
And what even is a world without masks now? I've just gotten so accustomed to it.
Some are wondering about the timing. Governor Brown ordered the mask to be worn statewide in June of last year.
Health-wise, is there going to be a difference between today and tomorrow?
A fair question, and the answer is indeed no. There's no difference from a public health perspective. But you have to have a target on which everyone can focus. When Governor Brown picked 70% as the vaccination rate to trigger a reopening, that was based both on the need to have a goal and President Biden's goal of 70% vaccinated by the 4th of July. When it became clear hitting Oregon's target would likely stretch past the 4th, and that Washington State was opening June 30th, Governor Brown shifted and adopted that as the new goal for reopening Oregon. Not everyone is ready.
They are asymptomatic, some of those people. They think they know everything and they're just asymptomatic.
Right, so you think the people who feel well but are walking around carrying the germs could still infect a lot of people?
She did not want to share her name, but she does make a good point. The COVID virus is not gone, and with the Delta variant spreading, we still need to be careful. But the restrictions that changed our habits and made us suspicious of one another over the past several months are going away. We are entering a new time after enduring what is hopefully the only pandemic of our lifetimes, and there is much to look forward to.
But I'm actually with my friends and family. I'm excited to be able to talk to them without a barrier.
Pat Doris, KGW News.
Even with nearly 70% of the state vaccinated against COVID, there still seems to be a lot of questions about breakthrough cases. That's when a person tests positive more than 14 days after vaccination. State officials say only about 1,000 out of almost 2 million fully vaccinated Oregonians have had breakthrough cases. Kevin McKay is one of them. He runs a long-term care facility in Portland. He was surprised when he and 14 others at his facility tested positive for COVID in April. 9 of them were fully vaccinated. While the vaccinated people had minor symptoms and did not need to go to the hospital, he didn't think he'd have an outbreak at this point.
I wished I had been told that these cases were occurring, particularly in long-term care, because at that time, we were going by guidelines, which had us testing every month for our staff. We were previously weekly. We had rapid availability. We were told to just go ahead and test monthly, and that was a mistake.
Coming up at 6 o'clock on The Story, we'll take an in-depth look at breakthrough cases, from where they're happening to what 95% effectiveness really means.
Now let's transition and talk about this weather. A live look for you. Portland's downtown Rose City sky camera. Significantly cooler today, but It's something you don't often get to say when the temperatures are still in the 90s. Yes, it is significantly cooler right now, though.
Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us with our first forecast and that much anticipated cooling trend. Joe, you know, it was really remarkable last night to watch the temperatures start going down pretty quickly.
Yeah, dramatically. I mean, anywhere from 30 to 40 degree difference between about this time late in the afternoon and into about 9-10 o'clock last night. Of course, Matt Safino was talking about it. Now we're looking about 25, almost 30 degree difference in our temperatures. Of course, yesterday was absolutely a scorcher, record-breaking heat, 116. We're not touching that anytime soon, hopefully, at least not in the next 7 days or so. But you can kind of see throughout much of the metro area dramatically cooler and just relatively pleasant along the Oregon coast. Of course, they started to see more of that onshore flow develop late in the afternoon yesterday, and it's a little bit pleasant out there along the coast right now. Still a little bit windy out there over Newport with a temperature of 61 degrees. We're still looking at some warm conditions out there. Of course, we were in the 100-degree areas the last couple of days. Today is a little bit cooler, but still topping out right around the low 90s. The official high right now about 93 degrees in Portland. You can see over in the Dalles temperature of 107. And if you travel east over the next couple of days, you're still going to be seeing quite a bit of heat with that excessive heat warning staying in effect for a few spots until tomorrow night. A few locations on eastern Oregon are looking at that excessive heat warning staying up throughout the weekend. So let's kind of revisit the heat wave highlights. 3 days of record heat going back to Saturday. 108, 112, and then of course yesterday was 116. Salem hit 117. That was the hottest temperature ever west side of the Cascades. The other interesting thing to point out is our overnight lows dropped pretty quick too. Anywhere from about 50 to 52 degrees. So about 6 o'clock last night, we were sitting at 116 degrees. Well, this morning we saw lows right around the low 60s. Very pleasant as you walked out there earlier this morning. Now heading into the later part of tonight, we're going to be a lot of sunshine out there, a lot of clear skies, but there will be a little bit some clouds that increase a little bit heading the later part of tonight and into tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm forecasting a high of 90 degrees, which will mark the 6th day in a row with temperatures 90 or above. There's also that excessive heat warning throughout eastern Oregon. We'll talk more about that in your detailed forecast.
All right, Joe, talk to you again soon. Yes, it's not 116, 117 degrees, but it's still very warm, right? You get a drop of 30 degrees and we're still in the 90s, which is why there's bans of fireworks because of this historic heat. Portland, Tualatin, Bend, they're all banning the use of fireworks through July 9th. In Washington, all of Clark County has banned both using and selling fireworks. Firefighters, they want people to hold off this year, even if you are not currently under a ban that I just read for you. And vendors are a bit torn.
I feel like a lot of people are just going to light fireworks off regardless of the ban.
Directly telling us what we can and cannot do on our driveway to celebrate our freedom, our liberty.
If they want to ban the fireworks from shooting off, it's probably a good thing because of the heat and everything. Don't want to start forest fires and stuff like that.
We're really all going to have to work together in these unprecedented times to prevent wildfires and emergencies in our region.
So people who violate any of these bans, you could get in trouble. You could face fines, hundreds of dollars in fines. We have a full list of the details for you at kgw.com. And as if you need an example of how dangerous it is right now, the fire danger. We have brush fires breaking out. This one near the Dalles right now, forcing some evacuations this afternoon. The Wasco County Sheriff's Office just issued level 3 go now orders. This includes Rentham Road, Ridge Road, Atkinson Road, and several others. The Sheriff's Office has a full list posted on Facebook right now.
A wildfire burning in Northern California near the Oregon border is spreading. The lava fire close to Mount Shasta has grown to 13,000 acres. And in a bizarre twist, police officers shot and killed a man during evacuations. The Sacramento Bee reports the man was trying to enter a pot farm complex that was in the evacuation zone. He allegedly shot at officers who returned fire, killing him. Police say marijuana growers in the area have been hostile to first responders trying to evacuate people. A tragic story tonight in Lane County. A man is believed to have drowned while saving his child. It happened yesterday at Fern Ridge Reservoir west of Eugene. Police say 38-year-old Kevin Carlisle was boating with his wife and 2 kids when one of the children fell in the water. He jumped in after them. It was very windy and the water was rough at the time, making it hard to get back in the boat. Carlisle's family, including the child in the water, eventually managed to make it back to shore. He, however, did not.
You had a high up here and a low down here, and it kind of spun around, and it just made it really windy. I mean, it was dangerous out there. The Marine guy was out here and said about how there was white caps on the other side.
Authorities say they're now treating this as a recovery mission.
We might be cooling off a little bit, and that's good news for us, but our trees and our plants are still reeling from the effects of this extreme heat. And if you think it's just able to maybe douse them with a little water and that'll help things out, well, experts are telling us today that that won't exactly work. Kaylee Chalmers found out what we should be doing right now to save our yards.
Is this your last big leader to work on?
This right here, the result of Oregon's extreme weather. And we're not talking just the heat. These trees were first damaged in February's ice storm. The recent heat wave simply exposed the problems.
It's drying out the snags. We were worried about falling branches, especially for passersby.
Jana and James Jennings didn't want to take any chances and called Oregon Tree Care to come take down the hazards. Arborist Jessica Henderson says we'll likely be dealing with ice-damaged trees for the next year. Add to that this heat, we all need to be looking closely at our trees.
If you see a hanging branch or something that looks like it's starting to split or crack, addressing that sooner rather than later is going to be beneficial for the tree.
And she says when it comes to protecting our trees from extreme heat, there are two things we should be doing. Number one is to mulch.
And that's going to be like 3 to 4 inches of mulch, and not just at the base of the tree. You don't want it touching the bark. You're going to want to leave like a couple-inch buffer, and then making that mulch ring as big as possible.
If you have a tree that's 1 foot in diameter, put down a 4-foot mulch ring around it.
The mulch helps retain moisture in the soil. It helps with the nutrient cycling, and then also in the summertime it helps regulate the temperature of the soil.
And then think about watering, but do it strategically.
I think if you gave your trees, for the next few weeks, just once a week, a nice slow saturation is going to be best for them.
Don't just water the base of the tree. Make sure to water the entire area underneath the tree's canopy. And moving forward, be ready for more heat and more drought.
When you're thinking about the landscaping of your yard, can you be selecting small, drought-tolerant species that won't compete for water resources for your larger, mature trees?
Because if this year has taught us anything, it's that our weather can get quite extreme, and our changing climate can take a toll on our trees.
It's here and it's real, and we're all dealing with it now, yeah.
Keely Chalmers, KGW News.